Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Oval Series, and we're taking on Southern National Motorsports Park. We've determined in the community that this is the tiddlywinkest of the tiddlywink speedways found on the iRacing service. If you look up where this track is located, there's maybe a handful of houses, one church, and then the Southern National Motorsports Park on the street out here in Lucuma, North Carolina. I believe the street is also terminated by, guess what, another church. So this track is nestled right in the southern part of the United States. And Sophie, we're in for a eventful one on the high banks here from Southern National.
Yes, this short track is probably known in the service for two things, Jacob, and that's going to be rookie street stocks and royalty-free country music, I believe, as exposed by one Brendan Hyperstar Lichtenberg. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. A lot of drivers may have some experience in here in fendered machinery. Don't think anything open wheel outside of maybe a modified, Jacob, has ever really been around this place. Maybe a pavement sprint.
Yeah, it is funny you mentioned those modifieds. My lone win here at Southern National Motorsports Park came in a NASCAR Tour Modified a long number of years ago. I want to say it was almost 3 years at this point where my win came here. We were going to ride with Chad Miller here, but while warming up his tires, he appears to have clocked the outside wall. He's going to give it another go here. Dallara has offered him another front wing in these trying times.
Yes, and we have currently Gary Yost doing the peak qualifying strategy of driving in reverse. So trying to find a driver on track, kind of doing, I believe we have Ashton Metters currently making serious attempts at a lap as he's currently closing up his first flyer. Ashton has shown pace throughout this season, not quite able to get the kind of results that he would look for. Believe his first lap was invalidated, so tough break there. Currently, Nick Sudik is on top of the 11.9, and then Metters here just clocked in a 12.255. Not what he would be looking for.
Well, we rode with Chad Miller for his qualifying run. I believe he's going to get the pole here. Clocks the wall on the exit at 2 there.
Yeah, it's still Nick Sudik on top, 11.90.
Doesn't look like that second lap counted for Miller. I thought maybe he was going to get one in that improved there, but guess not. So he'll start deep in this field after winning last time out at the fairgrounds in Nashville. As mentioned, Nick Sudik on the pole.
I believe here, Jacob, what happened was Miller on that last lap, because he crashed so close to the finish line, it invalidates the lap here. So that's a tough break for Chad Miller.
Yeah, and that is kind of the nature of the beast with these short tracks here. If you clock the outside wall fairly late down the straight here, it counts for the second lap and maybe not the first one. So he was unfortunate with that. One's going to start deep in this field, 15th of, I believe, 16 cars here, Sophie. And I believe you're going to get us with the starting lineup here. We do get 2 pace laps, so we'll wait for a couple more cars to hit the line here, but you feel free to start rattling them off in due time.
Yes, and on the pole is my former teammate from my All-American iRacer days, Nicholas Sudik, with an 11.904, followed by Ashton Metters, again, who has shown pace, not quite able to be there at the end, it seems, but he is alongside in P2. Chris Fletcher and Indy Kirchenbauer line up P3 and P4, respectively. And then it's Giovanni Blackerby, the young man who we saw have some misfortune at Tsukuba last night, will line up P5. Dustin Ballgren in P6. David Powers, current points leader, lines up in 7th. That's deep in the field for him. And then Chris Wex lines up in P8. Casey Lee in the Umamusame machine lines up P9. And Taylor Thurman with the Tayfosi cheering him on is in P10. Nick Dwornik, the Canadian, lines up in 11th with Corey Finch in P12. Treston Fortston in the Lizard machine lines up P13. And then Gary Yost, who we saw driving in reverse during qualifying, is in P14. Chad Miller, last week's winner, lines up P15. And then Alexander Miller lines up P16. Miller did not take a time, and we are rolling for the pace lap here at the Southern National Motor Speedway.
Fun little drone camera action here from Southern National Motorsports Park. We'll thank Whiplash Shimcams for, well, giving us some cameras here from Southern National. We've had a lot of fun with their packs on the short track, so if you're looking for some cameras, They're a good source for them if you need it for photography, broadcasting, otherwise. And I believe the lights are out on the pace car. No, pace
I believe
car
that's
coming
a
this
trick of
next
the light.
time around.
No, I believe the pace car just leaves their lights on during the green flag runs. And kind of before we go to green, Jacob, I do want to mention a key to the race here seems to be managing those right rears, as we saw some drivers posting their tire wear figures after 100 laps here. So I think it's going to be who can go the fastest while using the least.
Yeah, we'll certainly give that a look here throughout tonight's event. Pace car will pull off this time, I do believe. Fielding control with Nick Sudik, and we're green right away. Sudik almost getting run over.
Yeah, Ashton Metters is gone. Sudik did not get the start that he wanted. Indy Kirchbauer is now going around Nick Sudik there on the high side. Sudik's got to watch out for Giovanni Blackerby. Sudik now slots into third. Dreadful start from the Nexus Esports driver. Ashton Metters now in the lead. Can this be the race where he converts? I don't believe he has won an Indy Next broadcast race, Jacob.
He has had a couple podium finishes, if I recall correctly. We'll take a look to confirm that here. I believe it would have been a while ago for Metters up on the podium. Yeah, he's got a lone podium from 5 flags last season, so if he knows how to do short track racing, as he's shown previously, as he leads now, here from Southern National. Of course, Nick Sudik's fallen to third. There's a big boatload of action heading in the bottom portion of the top 10 here. You've got Corey Finch, Chris Fletcher, Nick Dwarnick, Chris Wetz, kind of all underneath a blanket following Taylor Thurman and David Powers here throughout the back half of the top 10.
Nick Sudik just came over voice chat saying, I did not expect the green to come out that early, and it came out as soon as the pace car was off. Indy Kirchenbauer currently setting the purple laps in his pursuit around Ashton Metters. So Kirchenbauer setting the pace.
We'll try out these drone cams here, get close in on this battle for the lead here. Kirchenbauer dives low once again, looking to the inside, basically wrapping right along that white line in the corner here. And if you've driven Southern National in just about anything, you know that white line here is about the most lethal white line in the service, with how tight the corners are around here and just how you hook the car around the apron here from Southern National.
Yeah, and he is really trying to work over Metters there. Not quite able to get the same momentum off the corner that Metters is, but you know what I'm thinking about here, Jacob, is can he deal with the fact that Metters is going to be using that right rear, and so is Kirchenbauer if he is pushing that hard.
Well, if there's one thing we kind of learned over time here is if you can run low and slow, not sure if Indy's necessarily running slow as he's really hounding Metters as he looks high, cuts low. Is he going to have enough momentum here? They'll stay side by side. Try to back this camera out a little bit here. Kirchenbauer almost clears.
Almost clears, not able to, and I think that hesitation may have cost Kirchenbauer a little bit there as Metters now pulls back there. They are alongside, side by side again for the lead. Further back in the field, starting dead last on the field, Alex Miller has moved up to the 11th spot. He is on the move. As Kirchenbauer looking for any way past that number 3 machine.
We'll hop back to the battle for the lead there. You can see just how quickly this camera kind of pans around here. If we shoot back up to the blimp view we were showing earlier, we could basically get the full camera or the full track in the shot there. There's Kirchenbauer and Metters off the corner heading now into turn 3, working through 3 and 4 now. Very tight quarters here from Southern National. Field spread out pretty much all the way around the track at this point. And it wouldn't surprise me if we catch lap traffic here in due time, Sophie.
Yeah, we are going to be catching lap traffic. I see the machine of Gary Yost on the radar for our new leader, Indy Kirchenbauer. He now clears off a 2.
It's taken on almost a fifth of this race so far for Kirchenbauer to take the lead from the, I believe, second row here. If we look at his run so far, he started 4th. He's worked his way up to 1st following the slow start from Sudik, not expecting when the pace car was gonna let them go. Green flag came out way too early.
Sudik has his mirrors. Oh, he nearly loses off the corner. That's going to allow Giovanni Blackerby through. for P3, that number 10 car sitting in the P3 position.
The yellow flag is
Oh,
out.
we are under yellow, and I
Chad
see
Miller.
Chad Miller against the wall, and he is being very angry on voice chat. So I believe we're gonna have to go back to lap 10.
Ooh.
And I believe he is underneath
Casey Lee.
the Casey Lee, and I see a lot of net code there in that contact. I don't know about you, Jacob, but so maybe
his car
Chad
definitely.
Miller.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Miller might want to watch the replay before commentating. I know I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah, let's take a look at this from the drone cam here. So his car definitely pops up in the air in that Ghost Energy Welch's machine, riding along on the inside of Casey Lee in that iconic Uma Musume machine. So Miller will shoot to the bottom. I believe this is in turns 1 and 2. So they're side by side heading through the first set of corners here.
Yeah, and he comes way up the track to run Casey Lee really tight. I mean, Casey's right against the wall there. I don't know what much else that Uma Musume machine could have done there. So looks like the netcode is what triggered the contact for that 6 car.
Yeah, it kind of starts midway down the back straightaway where he kind of makes contact with the right rear to the side pod of Lee and pops up after kind of rolling that whole rear tire over the front tire of Lee. Tough break for Chad. He went out a winner last time out at the fairgrounds. Will finish dead last here from Southern National. So quickly the tides of racing can turn, and we'll hop back to the front of the field here. Catch Indy Kirchbauer and company, as I believe we're going to get under green relatively soon here, Sophie.
Yeah, I believe we are, and trying to get a good look at the rear tires. And yeah, we are back underway.
Quarter of the race already gone, Sophie. We've got another 75 here to go. Good run for Ashton Metters. He's trying to catch Kirchbauer off guard to the inside. Not enough.
No. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough. I think the outside line here is the preferred line, particularly on those restarts, Jacob. We saw Indy make a lot of hay getting around Sudik after that restart. So Sudik not having the race that he wants. He's currently under pressure from Dustin Bolgren. And then David Powers, our points leader, is just behind him, sitting in 6th spot.
Ooh, close call as Thurman almost gets in the back of Powers through 3 and 4 there. He's working to the outside of, I believe that's going to be Nick Dwornik on the inside.
Yes, and he nearly does it again. Powers maybe trying to preserve his rear, lifting a little bit, and it's not really what Thurman is expecting.
That's kind of a bottled up train on the high side here. Dwornik's trying. Close call between himself and Fletcher off the exit of turn 2. They'll head through 3 and 4 this time. Back into 1 and 2 once more, and it's just tough going here. It's a tight track, not a whole lot of room to play with. You kind of got the lower 2 lanes on the track that we've seen cars occupying, maybe 2.5 lanes if we're being generous.
And we are seeing a sight that has been kind of a pretty common picture here tonight, Jacob, or just this season in general, and that is Indy Kirchbauer stretching out a large gap. He's currently gapped Ashton Metters by a second, which is a pretty huge gap at a track this small. The storyline goes, though, is that there's going to be a late race caution that bunches everyone back up, and Kirchbauer has used up his stuff to build that gap. So be curious to see if that is the case tonight. Kirchbauer obviously hoping that this race goes green.
Sophie, you better be in the Menards Lumber Yard in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I believe that's the largest lumber yard in the United States. You better be knocking on some wood here. I think if we can get away with 1 yellow tonight, that'd be fantastic. Obviously, Indy out to a sizable lead already. We'll see how that evolves over the course of this race as we already inch closer to halfway than quarterway as we work on to lap 38 now. We work our way having gaps up on the screens. That's going to be a bit more indicative of how tight the bulk of the field is here. We look kind of Nick Sudik on back. Is going to be kind of where the bulk of the field is running. We've got Nick Dwornik fighting Taylor Thurman still on the inside lane there. David Powers still holds on to the 6th spot. Of course, he is the
and then we have
leader. Go ahead, Sophie.
Then we have Chris Wetz trying to get underneath Alex Miller as well. So you have from P4 all the way back to P11 under a blanket, effectively. And Casey Lee, who was kind of not really technically involved because of netcode, but kind of involved in that last caution. Just sitting half a second behind Wet. So field is very tight here, other than that massive gap between Indy Kirchbauer and Ashton Metters, and then there's a gap between Sudik and Blackerby. Blackerby also looking over Ashton Metters, trying to find a way by him.
Yeah, that gap's kind of tightened back up. It tightens up a good bit off the exit of turn 4 there. Inside 2/10 as they enter 1 and 2 for Blackerby on Metters. Let's actually take a ride on board with the driver of the 10 machine here. See Giovanni back out here for some Indy NXT action. You know these are fairly late races for the young man, but we're glad to see him out here each and every week, giving it his all.
Yeah, it's good to see the young talent that we have here. I mean, Indy Kirchenbauer is 15, and then I think Giovanni Blackerby is even younger. So it's great to see that we have a lot of young talent in the hobby, people who are involved in karting, giving them a chance to hone their skills and maybe do different things that could help them in their potential racing careers.
Yeah, and it's no different than the real-world ladder here, right? You know, you've got the likes of the USF Juniors Championship that was kind of put solely in the place of trying to encourage drivers to move on from maybe regional or national level karting at a relatively, I mean, we're speaking relatively. Racing's an expensive sport, even at the high level of karting, it gets pretty expensive. It's good to see. Oh, we got a front wing on the backstretch. Wonder who that belongs to. As Blackerby looks on the high side on Metters here and takes the spot.
It belongs to Gary Yost, I believe. Gary Yost got a bunch of damage. Oh, I don't know how this was a caution.
Ooh, there's a rear wing missing off Tristan Fortson's machine as well.
Yes, if you go to lap 47 here, I don't know how this wasn't a caution. Tristan Fortson gets loose, and then Gary Yost just has nowhere to go, drives straight in the back of him. 360s.
Yeah, we'll take another look at this because we caught kind of the brunt of that wreck as Yost likely would have been sent out to the outfield into the tree line down the back straightaway here. So they're heading into turn 1 and 2 here. Fortson tucked in nice and low on the bottom. I think he might grab the apron there. Oh, we got a caution now.
Caution now, and that's Alex Miller. Tough breaks for Alex Miller. Looks like yes, it looks like Alex Miller just kind of maybe driving out that right rear a little too hard, sprint carnage just a little too much. And the right rear just says, I've had enough, and he just kind of lazy half spins, keeps it out of the wall. But that gives a huge break. I mean, Gary Yost, obviously he's gone a lap down because of that incident, but at least gives him a chance to kind of pit, get a new front wing, maybe get some of that suspension damage looked at, Jake.
Yeah, we'll try to rewind the tape here to catch what happens to Alex Miller. So he's ahead of Casey Lee here, heading off turn 4, and just big snap. We might have to see this one from on board if we can. Get a better look.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the right rear of Alex Miller, and yeah, it does not look like it's a happy camper. So Alex Miller is going to have a long road ahead of him. We are on lap 54, so he's got a long way to go with that right rear. It looks very dull when it's under the stadium lighting here.
Yeah, big load of wheel. Just you could start to see it start to get away on him. Kind of 3/4 of the way through the corner, he just goes for a big long slide. It's kind of the textbook incident we see, especially on these heavily banked ovals in this car. Just too much at once, and the tire doesn't really have any play left for you. We're underpacing once again. Caution number 2, just a little past the halfway mark here. We'll jump back to the front of the field as I believe we're going to go green this time. It will be the youngins at the front of the field. Indy Kirchenbauer, Giovanni Blackerby. Of course, we saw them come to blows at South Boston earlier this season. We'll hope for not the same this time as we're back under green.
Yeah, that green flag is very early here, and it did not catch out Indy Kirchenbauer the way it caught out Nick Sudik at the start of the race. Ooh, I think Giovanni Blackerby may have tagged the wall here a little bit, but they are nose to tail 1 through 3. Oh, there's contact between Nick Sudik and Dustin Bolgren. And now Bolgren kind of settles back in, but they are fanning all out behind him. Dustin Powers on the high side, got Nick Dwornik underneath him. Then Taylor Thurman on the high side and Chris Wetz underneath him.
Yeah, we saw Sudik kind of cut high off the exit of 4, maybe just barely clearing Dustin Bolgren there. Still holds on to the spot, but a very close call for those two drivers working inside the top 5 here. David Powers powering hard on the outside of Nick Dwornik here. He's got the spot temporarily here, but he's got Taylor Thurman just behind him, so he's kind of boxed in trying to make what he can here on the high side.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just he is boxed in. He's got Dustin Bolgren in front of him, so he can't really throw the car into the corner as hard as he wants. He's going to be in that dirty air. The dirty air doesn't really affect the Indy NXT car the way it does its IR18 brethren, but that's still putting some extra strain on the tires that could be the difference at the end of the race.
We've also seen that kind of play out in interesting ways in some of these longer green flag runs throughout the series history, and it helping maybe through some of that tire saving, having to lift more, kind of work your way off the back of the car ahead, and that plays out in favor of some of these cars deeper in the field. So we'll see if maybe there's some comers and goers that come in kind of the closing third of this race as we work lap 65. Kirchenbauer demanding lead once again, 1.3 seconds back to Giovanni Plackerby. Bulk of the field's kind of nestled in behind Nick Dwornik now as he works the high side on Chris Wetz.
Yeah, he kind of lost out there to David Powers and then finds himself, oh, Taylor Thurman's around, we're going to be under yellow. Yellow, yellow. Taylor Thurman, unfortunately, loses it off the corner. And Jacob, I don't want to say the predictable pattern that's kind of been happening here, but I believe once we start getting later into some of these short track races, some of the drivers who haven't been conserving their tires, as Taylor Thurman kind of noses it into the wall there, second time. But I believe as he tried to recover, he's got front wing damage now, so he'll definitely be coming to pit road for that number 14 machine. But kind of looks like a lot of people have really put the strain in their right rear, and maybe they've been having too much wheel into it. Maybe they've been just asking too much of those Firestones, and now that's biting them in the second half of the race.
Yeah, we watch from onboard Thurman as he goes for that extended slide off the corner. That one was a bit more sudden than we saw from Alex Miller just a couple of laps ago. He's going to come down the pit lane and likely fix that front wing, and that's a risk here. Pit lane is 35 miles an hour down the pit lane here. He is going to go a lap down, it looks like, to repair that machine. So tough break for Thurman. Just barely made it into this field. We haven't touched on it, but this is the highest strength of field we've had so far this season. Just a hair over 4,000. We haven't had that since last season at North Wilkesboro, which saw a field of 4,131 take to the track there. So fairly popular track, this one, amongst the top competition here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition, as we're working to almost 3/4 of the way through as we're going to get back under green onto lap 71, Sophie.
Yeah, pace car is off. We are back underway. It's Indy Kirchenbauer up front. He extended a commanding lead before. Maybe did he use too much of his Firestones to do it? We will see. As he jumps out to a 3-car length lead over Giovanni Blackerby. Ashton Metters looking low on that young man in that number 10 machine. Nick Sudik, after that mistake at the start, sits in 4th. Can he make up some ground here late in the game? Has he been looking after his rubber?
That's ultimately going to be the name of the game, and it's also being the name of the game if we can get a green flag run for that to really show its hand, if you will. Got 12 cars still on the lead lap, down to Alex Miller in the 12th spot. We saw his slide earlier. He's still hanging on to a lead lap position, so props to him. We haven't seen him out here in the next machine on the ovals, but seemingly this is the one that got him to pull the trigger, and it's good to see him out here having some fun in the Indy NXT Oval Series. Sudik, rather, under fire from Bolgren here. He's kind of fallen away from Ashton Metters. It had looked like maybe early on in this stint here he was going to have something, but starting to fade just a little bit here, Sophie.
Yeah, maybe there's just something. Maybe he hasn't figured out the tools yet the way other people have. Oh, we're back under yellow.
I believe that's going to be Chris Fletcher. So here comes Fletcher off 4, down the front straightaway, into turns 1 and 2. He's running kind of on his lonesome just ahead of, I believe that's going to be Corey Finch. And extended slide down the back straightaway, just noses it into the inside. Ooh, that's a big hard nose into the concrete wall on the inside of this track. That's going to take Chris Fletcher out of this one.
Yeah, he had just disconnected, so I believe David Powers just signed into the chat of, at least we're not at 9 cautions yet. We're working lap 76 here, Jacob. I don't think we're going to get to 9, but seems a lot of people were not looking after their tires, and they are paying the price for it.
Yeah, I believe if my count is correct, this is caution 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sophie?
Yes, I do believe I was hoping for a few less than that, and so I'm sure so was Indy Kirchenbauer with all the field resets.
Yeah, we were starting to see Giovanni Blackerby maybe reel in a little bit later on in the stint, and maybe that helps Kirchbauer here. He can get another jump on a restart here, build up enough of a gap, and maybe use that to extend the amount of time he maybe has to defend later on in this race as we work on to lap 80 behind the pace car. We will go green this time. We'll stick on the drone cam here to watch this restart as they'll head through 3, or I guess that's off turn 2. Here comes 3 and 4. It's a tight little track, this one. And we're going to get to the final 5th of this race from Southern National. Here comes the pace car. Pulling off, Indy Kirchbauer in control of the field once again. He goes nice and early.
Yes, and Giovanni Blackerby managed to stay with him that restart, but Blackerby got a decent enough gap on Metters. Metters now looking low, trying to reclaim some of that gap. Blackerby has the momentum off the corner, so I think Metters is going to have to settle in for third here. Nick Sudik is just a couple of car lengths back, and then Bolgren getting real up close to him in the center of 3 and 4. Chris Wetz is working underneath Dwarnick now. I believe that's going to be over the 7th spot. Canadian on the high side, unrepresented. I believe it just says global for Wetz on the bottom.
I believe Wetz is teammates with the famed Andre Castro, who we've seen pick up a number of wins both in the Road and Oval Series here at Indy NXT competition. Wetz has picked up a couple of podiums and I believe a win out at Richmond in the first time we went to Richmond here in the Indy NXT Oval Series. Kirchbauer goes purple, so clearly the tires are still holding on for him.
Yeah, he has done a great job holding on to them. He's gotten the most out of them while keeping them pretty fresh. I want to give a quick shout out here to Corey Finch. He is the 16 car last man into this 4K strength of field. When we loaded into the session, he said over voice chat, "I'm scared." And, well, he is clearly not afraid. He's running inside the top 10 in that Miller Lite throwback. I believe that's a Bobby Rahal Max Pappas machine. So, good job to Corey Finch.
Yeah, that would be my recollection as well as to the origins for that scheme. Kind of an iconic throwback livery here in open wheel circles. Good to see that one getting a good run from Corey Finch as he works inside the top 10 just ahead of Casey Lee here.
Oh, no! That's another spin for Taylor Thurman.
Oh, Dwarnick's around as well.
Oh, what has all happened here? Oh, my goodness. All right, Jacob, there's a lot to unpack here. So let's start with Thurman. Jacob, if you can focus on Taylor Thurman, lap 87 rather, for him. And it looks like he's on the inside of Alex Miller at the time. Miller on the lead lap, Thurman is not. And he just gets kind of pinched down a little bit. Alex is fair to do that. That's not a problem. But Thurman's right rear not happy with that. And then at the same time, Dwarnick, I think, just coming off the corner, has a little bit too much wheeling, and his right rear says, "I'm done." He tries to catch it, not quite enough, and he just spins that number 9 machine around. So tough break for Dwarnick as he now falls to the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, again, extended. Oh, he at least looked like he was going to catch it, but ultimately kicks it back around to the right and goes backwards down the back straightaway here. So he'll fall just outside the top 10 now. Last car on the lead lap, working lap 92 here. We're going to get another shot at it. We'll see how long that shot winds up being here as the lights are still on. The pace cars will cross the stripe. We'll see if they turn off here. They will.
They do. So, yeah, we're going to be going green on working lap 94. So that's going to be about a 6 or 7 lap sprint to the end, assuming we go green, Jacob.
Well, and the kids at the front might know what that means. We sure as heck don't, but here we go. Pace car will come off for the final 7 laps here from Southern National. Kirchbauer takes it away.
Yeah, Kirchbauer gets a great launch. Blackerby has Metters on his inside. Metters sends it, and Metters is ahead. He got a better restart there, and he's taking advantage. Blackerby's trying to fight back on the high side.
Going to be a game of inches here for second. Kirchbauer has the lead.
Chris Wetz has gotten around David Powers. Wetz now up to 6, Powers back to 7. It's all happening this final restart as Metters has gotten around Blackerby. Blackerby's looking at Kirchbauer, had grabbed the wall, but he is so far ahead, I don't think that's going to matter much.
Yeah, Blackerby almost got into the back of Metters through 1 and 2 that last time by. He holds on to the 3rd spot, but here comes Nick Sudik with a handful of laps to go. Can Sudik make something happen on the high side here?
Yeah, Sudik maybe has been preserving his rubber. He gets all the way on the high side of Blackerby. Oh, Blackerby puts him in the wall.
Yeah, close call on the exit there. Blackerby struggling
A little
late.
hip check from Sudik. Sudik letting his feelings be known. Sudik has third.
Power move for the Nexus Esports driver on the high side. We're going to work on the
Oh,
lap 99.
we got trouble. We got trouble on lap 99. Taylor Thurman is dead and around. We are still green. It's going to be Indy Kirchenbauer, the winner. Then Ashton Betters in second. Nulik Sudik in third. Take us away with the rest of the finishing order here, Jacob.
Now let's get a quick look at maybe what happened to Taylor Thurman there to close this one out. He's tucked in on the inside wall here. Let's see if we can go back a little further here. So here he's coming into turns 1 and 2, just ahead of Gary Yost. Yost, of course, the last car still moving out on the track, multiple laps down. Here comes Thurman off of turn 2, and kind of similar to Dornick's deal, he snaps into the outside wall, taps it. Yost doesn't really have anywhere to go to his inside. Ultimately sends Thurman around to kind of end his rough night here from Southern National. But let's run through the entire field here from tonight's event from Southern National Motorsports Park. Let's get Kirchenbauer up on the screen. He might be out celebrating, and we're missing it. There it is.
I believe he is doing them donuts.
I'll back the cameras up just a little bit here. We'll get to the finishing results. Indy Kirchenbauer picks up another win here in Indy NXT Oval Series competition, 1 second ahead of Ashton Metters, who makes that powerful move on Giovanni Blackerby late in the stages, as does Nick Sudik to work his way back onto the podium following that troublesome initial start here from pole position. Blackerby will settle for 4th ahead of Dustin Bolgren. Chris Wetz in 6th. David Powers falls to 7th. Corey Finch in 8th. Casey Lee 9th. Alexander Miller goes from 16th to 10th. Good run from him. Glad to see him joining us here in the chat as well. Nick Warnick in 11th, last car on the lead lap. Taylor Thurman, Gary Yost, 12th and 13th. Last car still moving. Chris Fletcher, Treston Fortson, Chad Miller, last week's winner, finishes dead last here from Southern National Motorsports Park. That'll do it for the field. We'll see who comes in to talk to us. I'm sure Nick Sudik will have some things to say following tonight's event, but let's get some cameras on some automobiles, as they say. There we go. At least have some cars under pacing, so see if... There we go. Get the Apple Computers car for Nick Sudik here. There he is. We'll get him on up here with good haste. Nick, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Dog, yeah. Hey, listen, before you ask any questions, I got a bone to pick with Barney. He threw that green really early, you know. I wonder if some of my competition might have slipped him a couple of dollar bills under the table, but yeah, that was fun though. That was fun. Go ahead. Sorry. Hi everybody.
Yeah, you were kind of in the catbird seat where we thought was going to be kind of the best place in the house to start this race from the pole, but you know, the green flag comes out here basically as soon as the pace car hits the pit lane. There's not maybe more than a quarter second to do so. Kind of talk us through about having to work your way back into podium contention here following that slip up. You had fallen down to that 4th spot and kind of hung around, was kind of maybe just burning the restarts off, trying to make sure your tires were underneath you to close this one out. What do you got to say about this one?
Yeah. I mean, like I've only done one other race at Southern National before, and it was in a spec. It was in spec mini stock, a little mini stock league that Gary. I think Gary's ran it a little bit with, and some of my other friends. You know, shout out to
that league as well, actually.
Jared. Yeah, I think Sophie's ran some races in that for a little bit. But you know, that's all I had. Like, I don't do a lot of short track racing. I've gotten into appreciating a lot more, especially on the dirt side of things over the last like couple years. But yeah, that whole thing caught me out, and then you know, I just kind of biding my time, and I was like, well, it's 100 lap, and then the short track brain starts going. It's like, it's 100 lap feature. I'm gonna treat this like a super late model race. So I just saved my stuff. I literally just saved my stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go find a little clean air. Try just to run the low line, not carry a lot of speed, and like honestly, like Gio and Ashton were just driving it in hard into 1 and 3 every time, and I was like, there is no way they're gonna have a right front There is no way that they're going to be able to drive off the right rear. And the restarts kind of slipped me up because I feel like if we didn't have cautions, I was actually catching even Indy at like almost a tenth of a second a lap at times. Like it was anywhere between like 400ths to a tenth a lap. And I feel like if it would have went green all 100 laps there, I could have definitely been able to show back up. But yeah, this combo, I ran it as a bit of a meme track, and it honestly delivered. This was actually really good racing. I'm not gonna lie. That this was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned the super late model feature event here. I went and looked prior to the race what the super lates would run at a track like this. They run about 80 laps in the open setup series, so we're doing another 20 on top of that. Obviously, there's a decent bit of pace difference as we're in some high speed open wheel machinery, but obviously this isn't a track we see a ton in open wheel machinery to begin with. It's kind of the best of all worlds here, getting to see it in Indy NXT competition here. And you talk about long run speed here, and we got to mention it. It's short track patience is kind of the way you really got to play these races out. What kind of plays into your mental game here, watching kind of start and restart over and over and over again, getting settled into a rhythm throughout this event tonight?
Honestly, just staying relaxed, especially when you're short track racing. Like, I'm always like a little vocal on the mic at times if anybody's ever ran with me in the server, and usually it's just in good fun and in jest. But like moments like I think Dustin ran into the back of me when I was like trying to diamond the corner a little bit, just to carry a little less speed. I don't think he was expecting me to go that slow, and it rattled us. And I was like, oh well, that was interesting. That was bold. But it's like moments like that where you literally just have to shake it off. Like you just have to shake it off. Stay in a rhythm. I usually have like session best lap as my tracker, but when I'm doing short track racing, especially on like a longer race, it's honestly a little bit better just to look at last lap. That way you can make those micro adjustments, and find the time to experiment with the line, because you got to race the track more. Especially in a bull ring like this, you have to chase the track more than just chase the drivers, and it kind of showed how I was able just to kind of power around Gio and almost get Ashton at the end too. So, just stay chill, stay cool, have fun. That's really the gist of it.
Cool, calm, and collected gets you some pretty good places here. Sophie, you got any ad for Nick tonight?
I mean, honestly, Nick, you kind of covered what I was thinking was happening with your pace there at the beginning. You were kind of saving your stuff. Do you think maybe, obviously, those yellows didn't help you, but how much different is saving tire in the Indy NXT car versus the IR18, which I believe you were in the broadcast from Texas just an hour ago? So how different is it to save tire in this machine versus its bigger sister?
Yeah, we won't talk about Texas. Texas was very cool to me this time, but no, it happens. But no, so like the biggest difference, obviously, if you were like racing at like say like it was like Richmond, like both these cars at Richmond, the IR18, you're gonna have a lot more downforce, so you're gonna have a lot more ability to not really slide the tire. It's also a bit of a more, at least in the sim, it's a bit more of a forgiving tire. You get a little bit more response for it, whereas like these, they almost feel like they roll over on their own sidewall a little bit. So like you can really load the tire, you can really load the wheel if you're just smooth with it. But if the moment you push that tire across, and I don't know if you noticed on the broadcast, like there were a couple times where I actually like almost spun out of 4. It took about half a lap for it to actually gain grip back up, even that right front, and I really didn't put a lot of load on that right front. But yeah, it's very easy to snowball these tires. You can cool them down. It's a little bit easier to cool these down and save them on an oval compared to the IR18. But yeah, no, I think that's the biggest difference. It's just the way you can actually, like, your actual inputs. You got to be a bit more smooth with this and just kind of roll into the corner a bit more.
Yeah, certainly a lot to handle in this car. We've see it kind of play out a number of different ways, especially when we hit the high banks here at a track like Southern National. Glad to see the meme combo delivered some good, proper fun for you here, Nick. You know the drill.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, not a meme combo. This is genuinely run this. This is a good combination. If you get the right group of people, I mean, you're gonna have cautions inevitably, but yeah, come race this. This car is awesome. This car's awesome. There's a reason why I do spot broadcasts even when I'm not feeling great. You know, it's nice. So join us, please. You know, shout outs to Nexus Esports. Hello, friends. I got a podium. I got a broadcast podium for y'all tonight. Yay. Maria, hello, who will be waking up shortly. Sure she'll watch this. Dobby, who is wanting many pets right now, and I said I wanted to end this race early, and then I ended up getting podium, so she's kind of annoyed at me. And then I talked too much. Go figure. Anyways, what else? Who else? I don't know. You guys, you know, P1 for broadcasting and always bringing all this content from the community to the masses. If you are gonna be at Sim Gaming Expo, me and Kevin Burrell and a bunch of other awesome people from the IndyCar community are competing in an invitational event. It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be the greatest sim race on land of all time. Forget the Gran Turismo World Series. Forget Coke Final Four playoffs here. It's that. Come watch us in Chicago and in Schaumburg. Yeah. Woo! Woo! In September. Check it out, Sim Gaming Expo. Woo! Okay. I'm done. Good night, y'all.
All right, give Dobby some pets for us.
We'll go give Dobby pets now.
Well, thank you for joining us as always, Nick. We'll hopefully catch you out maybe later on this season as we take to the likes of Lanier or Kern.
Yes.
All right, and that'll do it for Nick Sudik. I don't think we could get much better of a hashtag ad for just about anything than Nick Sudik's enthusiasm for this race and obviously the Sim Gaming Expo stuff coming up in September. Let's get Ashton Metters on up here. He's been patient. It's been a while since we've had him up on the booth. Ashton, Jake Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting, you got us?
Hey, yeah, I got you.
Well, you pick up another podium result here. We went and looked the last time this happened. It was going to be last season at Five Flags. So clearly these bull ring style short tracks have something that work in your favor. I know you run a good bit of the Junior Oval Challenge Series and the Indy Pro 2000. So kind of talk us through maybe some of the things you've learned over your course of the time on these bull ring short ovals to really make them work for you.
Yeah, I feel like Southern National here has always been good to me. Five Flags, Concord, just like you said, short bull rings, you know, just street stocks, Indy Pros, you know, really feel like I excel on those tracks there. Yeah, this track here was tricky tonight though. Man, you know, got to save the right rear a lot. So the battle there with Indy early on was really just, man, worried about my right rear pretty much those entire 25 laps we were battling there. So, yeah, man, I think you know, just saving the right rear is some of my my strength here at these bull rings, and I think that's what it takes in these Indy NXT cars.
Yeah, that's kind of the song and dance we see time and time again with this car is that right rear tire. If you lose it, you don't have it anymore, and that definitely shows. We saw a number of cars struggling on both ends of the track here, getting back onto the power on corner exit, going for extended slides, big spins all around this track. And maybe talk us through some of the patience game you're having to play, getting maybe the wheel unfurled, getting on power around here. Obviously, this track is one of the more heavily banked ones we're going to visit even just this season amongst the slew of others we've got going on, and maybe some of the things that it takes to get around the high banks here.
Yeah, I think the cars just unload so much. You know, coming out of 2 and coming out of 4 kind of gives you a false sense of more tire than you have. You know, going into 1, going into 3, you know, feels pretty good, but as soon as you kind of step on the gas, if you step on it too hard or put too much wheel in it, it'll unload quick on you. So, yeah, I saw Nicholas behind me using a lot of wheel, holding the bottom a lot. You know, so I was just trying to save as much as I could, keeping him behind me. And I knew if we got those cautions, you know, the tires are good for a couple of laps after those cautions before they heat back up. So I really just had a couple of laps there to make a move on Blackerby. So I knew that last caution was probably going to be the last one. If we got another one, I knew it'd probably end under caution. So I knew that was my chance to get him. really don't know if I had much for Indy. You know, if I had one or two more cautions, maybe. I know he had a little tire left too, but felt like I saved just enough for those last few cautions to get back to at least second.
Yeah, striking while the iron's hot, and you know there's still a little bit of time to play with is always the best you can really do. And Sophie, you got anything to add for Ashton tonight?
Well, Ashton, I do have to wonder, were you hoping maybe the race was a little bit longer at seeing how much Indy Kirchner was pulling out a gap on you? Were you thinking at all that he was using too much of his tire?
Yeah, I kept getting over the radio that he was running 7s and 8s and, you know, even 6s at one point late in the race there. And I was just thinking, yeah, you know, if we had some green flag runs or if we had one caution to catch us back up in a green flag run, you know, I could kind of see him slowing down a little bit after about 5 or 10 laps. So yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping for, and that's what I was saving for a little bit, especially after that first battle with him. You know, I really just wanted to, you know, kind of save, and I made a mistake and lost second there, so that was really on me. So if I would have been in second the whole time and not have to battle back to second, or maybe it'd have been a different story. But yeah, I mean, man, 100 laps here. You know, I think if we ran any more, these tires would be totally gone. I know I was really close to getting the tire warning there at the last couple laps. So yeah, I don't know if this race was any longer, what we would do.
Well, it was certainly tossed back when we started considering these short ovals for Indy NXT competition to maybe add another 10 or 20 laps, but I think an even 100 made it easy to keep track of and certainly made it where we could keep it within the window of the tire life here. And you hold on to those tires here from Southern National Motorsports Park, Ashton. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody like to shout out, floor is yours.
Yeah, just appreciate P1 for putting on a you know, broadcast here. Big race tonight, 4,000 SOF. So appreciate you guys putting that on. Appreciate you know, family giving me some time to do some iRacing here on a Tuesday night. And yeah, just keep the bull rings coming, and I'll try to keep saving tires.
Yeah, we certainly got a number yet to come here with the likes of Lanier and Kern getting put down later in this season, so we'll hopefully catch you out for those amongst a slew of others, Ashton. Keep going fast, having fun. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you.
And that'll do it for one Ashton Metters, and we'll have the prodigy, Indy Kirchenbauer, back on the top step. Indy, it's Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you capitalized on the initial start here with Sadiq, maybe getting caught out by the very sudden start here from Southern National. Worked your way from fourth to first relatively quickly, following a somewhat lengthy battle with Ashton Metters here in the opening quarter of this race, and never really looked back from there. You know, we've talked time and time again about how maybe you get a big gap rolling early, maybe the tires fall off, but it didn't really look like that was the case as you were setting some of the fastest laps of the race within the closing stages here, Indy. Talk us through it here tonight.
Yeah, it was just a really, really fun race, and it just interesting to you know, have to pass Ashton there. It was certainly not an easy pass, and yeah, just a good side by side racing, and then I I was just kind of just being chill once I got in the lead. I didn't need to push it too hard to burn my tires off, so I just chilled out, and you know, it was difficult to pass here for sure. So it was just ended up working out good and got a dub here. I think this is my 10th one. I may be wrong though.
We can double check that for you, but while we're looking, you know, you talked about difficulty to pass here. It looked like maybe at some point lap traffic would start to play a factor. It didn't look like the green flag runs went long enough for that to really play out. But was there any thoughts in the back of your head of maybe managing the pace at the front to the time when you were going to get up to lap traffic around here? Maybe some things you were doing inside the car to maintain pace without pushing too hard here. We saw cars spinning kind of left, right, and center on both ends of the speedway here. So just kind of managing your pace here seemed to be a really important factor here tonight.
Yeah, I didn't really think much about the lap cars. I was just trying to save the tires and and uh and yeah, it was just Yeah, and then I saw there were some lappers. I know that one stint, the first one that I was in the lead, I almost caught the back of the lap traffic, but luckily I didn't. So I was able to, yeah, just have a lot of clean air on my front wing. It's always what you wanna have, and yeah, just wasn't. It was good to just not have that much pressure behind.
Always good to be able to run your race with no pressure from behind. Maybe lessons learned from the race we ran earlier tonight at Scuba. I'm just giving you a little elbow bump there, Indy. Sophie, you got anything to add for Indy tonight?
Well, Indy, you made me kind of eat my words there because I was worried with the gap you were opening up if you weren't saving tire. But how nervous were you at all about the potential for you to maybe have overused your Firestone rubber at all?
Yeah, I was worried about tire wear. It didn't matter as much as I thought it would, because like I said, my fastest lap of the race on lap 84. So um, it was just really it was really weird where it's like consistently I was able to I was slower at the end just because of tire wear, and but then it was like it was but I was able to just hit those 1 or 2 really good laps every once in a while, mainly after cautions because your tires can cool down. I think that's when the last 84 one was. I could be wrong about that though. It was just a really fun race overall, and yeah, looking forward to see if I can win the Carolina Triple Crown.
Yeah, of course we got 3 races. This one, and then Rockingham and Darlington, kind of our first. What we're trying to work in is kind of a seasonal Triple Crown with 3 tracks in the same region, same state, if you will. And Indy's at least started on the right foot here tonight. Did double check. You're up to 10 wins here in the broadcast races here, just too short of 2-time and reigning series champ Dylan Vilashinsky. And we also took a look at the point standings here, and it's gotten tight at the top. You're just 17 points behind David Powers. Chris Wett's still in contention, about 182 behind in third. So a long way left to go here, but you know the drill, Indy. Friends, family, sponsors. Anybody like to shout out? Floor is yours.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out all my go-kart sponsors, BGM Marine Associates, uh, Make Something on YouTube, Bateside Comfort Heating and Cooling, and just shout out to Votive Racing and everyone watching the stream. Thank you to putting on the stream, and be here for the Rockingham.
Yeah, we'll certainly be looking forward to Rockingham next week. The 1 mile oval, and I believe it's North Carolina once again. So we'll see that one back in action on its recently repaved iteration here on the iRacing service. But keep going fast, having fun, Indy. We'll catch you next time.
All right, yeah, thank you.
That'll do it for Indy Kirchenbauer and Sophie. I think Nick Sudik put it best. This is not a meme. This is genuinely fun. Go give it a go. I'm glad we got this one some justice. There's a bit of hesitation. It was kind of the 4 included short ovals we had tested: Oxford Plains, this, Southern or South Boston, and I believe there was one other that's it was Lanier was the 4th one that we allowed to kind of work our way into the schedules here in the future. Of course, next season will conclude at the Oxford Plains, Indy's favorite track, as many would know. This was kind of the one that stuck out as maybe being the toughest one, maybe the one that wouldn't have made the cut, if you will. But I'm glad to see it delivered in a fantastic short track event for 100 laps here tonight.
Yeah, there was 2 different lines that were working, and again, it was all about that rear tire management, and that's something that this car is just kind of becoming known for. I mean, this car, it does not drive like one necessarily would expect, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a car that requires you to save and conserve your tire. I mean, we've seen drivers as experienced as Adam Block or Meatball and DNF a race because they weren't maintaining their tire. So it's a challenge, Jacob, and it's a fun challenge, as we've seen. I mean, we heard it from Nick Sudik how elated he was with his P3 tonight.
And of course, we'd love to see more drivers giving this series a go. We've got a number of short tracks left to come, as mentioned throughout tonight's show. We've got Lanier coming up in a couple weeks' time for round number 10, and then Kern County, Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway, as it's now named due to I don't know if he owns the track, but he's at least got naming rights for the season finale, mixed in alongside Rockingham and Darlington for rounds 8 and 9, and the real world alignment round at Milwaukee for round 11. We'll hope everybody will join us for all of those. We've got a number of great races going on throughout the rest of the week here on P1. We'll plug those now. Now's as good a time as any. Tomorrow, the Formula Indy Series will be taking on Suzuka for their 4th round of Season 9, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, alongside Season 4, Round 1 for the Horizon IndyCar Series, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for that. And then Sunday night will be Dark Horse DW12 action from New Hampshire, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for that. And then we're back to Monday night, where the IndyCar Open Series will take on Portland, as well as the Indy NXT Road Series. Those will be taking place at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, respectively. Appreciate everybody for joining us as always, and we'll thank those that do all the difficult jobs all around the world for making it possible for us to bring you the likes of the Indy NXT Oval Series here on P1 Broadcasting. We'll get one last wall scrape in from Indy before we close out the show. Have a good night, everybody. We will catch you next time.